Resiliency has become a big focus in facility design and operations. Can you start by defining it for us, Ray, and explaining why it's so important?
Yeah, resiliency is going to define for you your kind of ability to stay up and running and stay safe. So if it's safe and you can withstand that damage and your business can withstand the recovery time, you're able to wait a week, wait a month, wait a year for that building to come back online because you have enough capacity built into the storage warehouse to maintain your delivery of that critical product, whatever it may be. Then you're in a good place. Your resiliency plan is a 5-star plan. But if you have something, again, that needs to be delivered every day and you can't withstand 1 day's worth of downtime, meaning recovery time, then you have to have a much more robust infrastructure and resiliency plan for that building. And it's going to typically cost you a lot more money in that case.
Thanks for explaining that, Ray. Now that we know a little bit about what resiliency means and why it's important, where does someone start? And by that, I mean, what comes first in building these resiliency plans that you're talking about?
What do you do first? You have to account for that safety. You got to make sure you look at the newest current statistics for the hazards, and then work from there to your business continuity and your product safety and your uptime for equipment and manufacturing, if that's the case, and then trying to manage your recovery again. So safety first. People, and you can't replace people. You can replace products. You can replace buildings.
You mentioned using statistics as a part of resiliency planning. Can you explain what that means?
There's a lot of scientific data on things like weather and earthquakes and hurricanes and tornadoes and lightning strikes and all these potential hazards that could happen in and around your building. And then you can use scientific data, statistical data, to understand how many lightning strikes, how many high wind events have there been in the last 30 years, how many floods have there been, how many power outages have there been, how many earthquakes have there been. So all of that data then can give you a statistical analysis to help you really understand where to spend your money. So when I say scientific analysis, a lot of it's statistical analysis, and then it's a cost benefit to reducing the damage or reducing the recovery time.
Can you give us a real-world example of a client planning for resiliency? What specific risks and hazards did they face?
A client in Boston that has a building right on Boston Harbor, which is 3 feet above sea level. And so that building, they were doing a resiliency study to evaluate what they would need to do if they did have a storm. How would it impact them? So the hazard for them was the flood. The risk was not being able to maintain continuity in the building.
And as the MEP engineer and consultant on the project, what did we do for them?
We studied the cost and the feasibility of relocating the electrical switchgear from the ground floor to the second floor, the generator from the ground floor to the second floor, and moving some critical ventilation systems to the roof. And then also creating with a structural engineer and a flood hazard analysis company, we evaluated how to egress the building in the case of a flood. So they created a plan to get people out of the building to a safe location. So the safety factor was very important to them as well. But that was a proactive plan, which we thought was a great idea and quite valuable to them now.
My last question for you, what advice do you have for anyone responsible for their facility's resiliency planning?
Update your report once or twice a year, maybe every other year, depending on your criticality of your need. Don't create this plan and throw it on a shelf somewhere. You may need to do things next year that you didn't have to do 5 or 10 years ago, just to maintain the safety.
Thanks for breaking that down, Ray. I feel like I learned something new every time we talk. Have a great rest of your day.